Now it's Liverpool next, which is a chance to climb off the bottom of the table. Steve, you were talking earlier about the new manager coming in, and actually it's status quo, isn't it? They kind of, they're going to win the league. They're doing all right, and we weren't expecting that.
No, as I said just now, yeah, you kind of thought it was going to be a bit of a sort of transitionary season, but actually Arsenal have forgotten how to play. Man City have definitely forgotten how to play. And key injuries to both of those sides have left the door ajar. And Liverpool they've not necessarily played that well in a lot of games, but they've found a way of getting the job done. And they've been utterly ruthless, really, in kind of almost in a manner that we've not seen from them since probably the title winning year, when obviously amusingly that they finally win the league and nobody's in the ground to see it. But yeah, they look. I mean, it's going to take a hell of a recovery from either City or Arsenal, and combined with Liverpool falling away. I mean, maybe Liverpool suffer their own injuries to key players. I mean, you think if Salah, Luis Diaz, Van Dijk, Konate, one or two of those four get injured long term, then okay, maybe they may sort of start facing similar problems, especially with, as I say, their sort of likely long season in prospect. But yeah, I mean they've been a lot better than most people expected. I think a lot of sort of top pundits were saying, if they just get in the top four, that'll be seen as pretty decent in a sort of relatively unknown scenario. But I mean, now the way they've started now, I mean, what are they, 5 points clear already? And yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe we're maybe we're the sort of start of their downfall in 2 weeks' time.
The worrying thing, Glen, is
that, to be honest,
we've had the easier fixtures, as it were. I know we've been talking about this, but the next fixture we've got Liverpool, Brighton, Chelsea, Aston Villa, Spurs, Fulham. It's difficult to look at that and go, right, where are the points going to come from before Christmas? And Liverpool is the start of that.
Yeah, I mean it's not great, which again, that's why yesterday's game was so important, which is why I think we should have gone into it with a different approach, but we didn't, and here we are. So now, yeah, Liverpool at home. It's I find it really annoying that they've been as good as they are this season. I was really hoping for some sort of post-Klopp fall into the abyss, and the three big players are all out of contract, would all sort of like up and leave or phone it in this season. But annoyingly, they haven't, and they've been really good. I mean, I'm old enough to remember having to sit through Liverpool in the 1980s when they won absolutely everything, and everyone who you met who had nothing to do with Liverpool, no Scouse accent in sight. They were all Liverpool fans, and they were the biggest and the best team in the world. And during that time, they were. So I thoroughly enjoyed their downfall in the 90s. And and now I look back on it, I can't help but have sort of respect for Jurgen Klopp and what he managed to achieve with it. I was hoping that Slot was going to be another Ten Hag, really, and just not be any good and never look like he was going to get it right. But he's made some what I think are very, very good decisions. He's picked Konate every week to partner Van Dijk, which is not something that Klopp did last season. He was messing around with players like Gomez and
Joel Matip.
Who's the other one? Kwanzaa and Joel Matip and stuff like that. So they never had that settled centre back partnership, but they've got it this year. And that's made a huge difference. They've still obviously got Trent and Robertson. He's also sorted out the defensive midfield issue, which they kind of had last year with Gravenberch coming through, and he's kind of been the main player in there, which has allowed the likes of McAllister, Szoboszlai, Curtis Jones, etc. That's another thing. Curtis Jones, he's players like him. They're a year older now, so they're kind of just getting better, and they have a ridiculous amount of striker options. I mean, I might have missed one here, but you've got Diaz, Darwin Núñez, Gakpo, Jota, Chiesa, and that's before you get to Salah. So they have a big squad, and he seems a lot better at rotating players than Klopp was, as Steve has alluded to, with he seems to have given more thought to the long haul rather than just sort of like game by game. So it's I find it really, really hard to talk about, but they are very, very good, and fair play to them. Fair play to them, and it's not the sort of game that you want when you're in the position we're in. But you've got to play everyone twice, so or 3 times, as we got them in the cup as well. So we have to go and because it's a home game, we have to try and impose some sort of game on them. I mean, I'm sure we'll try and keep the ball, but what we do with it is the key. Can we find any spaces behind the fullbacks? Can we actually be direct enough to catch Liverpool out if we play through them, or are we just going to turn back and allow them to get back into shape? In which case, it will be. I think the first goal is key in this game. I think if Liverpool score first, the game will be horrible.
Do you think we could collapse?
Well, no, I just think it'll be the sort of game where we just don't do anything, and there could be people deciding on the hour mark that this is a waste of time. We're not going to do anything here, and
it'll be like the second half of that Man United game.
Yeah, it just be awful. So no, we have to go there, and we have to basically give the fans some sort of hope. I mean, I assume Russell Martin is still going to be there. He's got to learn the lessons. We can't have another game where we come off and say, oh well, we learned we'd be better next week. I've used this phrase a few times. He's running out of road. Yeah, he really is. And even though these 5 games are difficult for Russell Martin to keep his job, he has to get some results in these games. We can't, another 5 defeats, and where are we? 4 points at mid-December or whatever, and you just can't go on any further.
There's
and
no way back.
My point to the my sort of point about the should he stay or should he go, I kind of think that if they're going to get rid of him, they've got to do it now. As in right now, this international break. If they're not, they might as well keep him to the end of the season, because if you get into January and you're looking for another manager, you're not going to get anyone who's got any quality about him at all. So do it now or wait to the end of the season.
Assuming he does get the international break, then Alfie, he was kind of alluding to, and I think you mentioned it earlier, about some of the things he might be working on. So I'm looking for crumbs of comfort as always. We did all right against Man City, did all right against Arsenal. Maybe they pick themselves up for the bigger teams, and because the pressure is off and no one's expecting us to get anything out of this, do you think maybe a bit more solid defensively? We seem to have worked on that, cut out the mistakes, and then just try and implement some of the things that you mentioned going forward?
Yeah, but as Glenn quite rightly said there, we can't afford another. Oh, well, we did well for 50 minutes, and they're a good side. So we've only lost by 1. It's okay. Although that will probably happen. If we're being completely honest, they probably will raise their levels a little bit. They probably will give Liverpool a game, and that sounds optimistic saying it. And they probably will lose narrowly, but that just does nothing for the league table at this point. So I find it very hard to come out of that particularly enthusiastic. And I'm sure that Russell Martin himself and the staff and whatnot, they'll feel aggrieved by the reaction to it, because we should lose to Liverpool, but we can't afford to anymore, like as Glenn has said. So yeah, I think that we have seen in the past sort of watershed moments where he's delivered press conferences that felt a little bit like Saturdays at Wolves, where he has pointed out quite rightly things that have gone wrong, and then we have actually seen them actioned in the next game. But I think it's a very difficult thing for him to fix, is this freeing up of attackers, and all of a sudden are they going to start taking shots from 20 yards and putting the ball into better areas and overloading Liverpool? I just find it hard to believe that's going to happen, particularly because they're going to have Jack Stevens and Ryan Manning probably man-marking Mohamed Salah together. So you're already a man down effectively, when it comes up the pitch. So yeah, not particularly optimistic, but if we can go by that 4-4 draw a couple of years ago at St Mary's, then maybe there's a chance.
Am I putting you down for a 4-4 draw in your prediction?
Certainly not.
There was one correct guess actually from the Patreon League this week. So a shout out to Andy Robinson, who guessed that Wolves would win 2-0. And because of that, he's now top of our leaderboard. So again, if you're watching live, feel free to get involved. How many goals are we going to lose to? Steve, do you want to go first? Do you think it might be a close game, lose 1-0, or?
I think it'll be one where there won't be a lack of effort, and I think there will be an obvious plan, and I think that people will be able to identify that plan, and it's ultimately a case of whether the plan is good enough to nullify their best players, and that some of their slightly less good players have an off day. Because ultimately games like this against the best teams in the country, we can play as well as we like. We could still very easily lose the game because they're simply better. You can't. You're always reliant on the better team having an off day and you picking up on it and taking full advantage. I mean, we're capable. Whether we will, let's be honest. The probability is less than 50%, isn't it? Let's be real. Significantly so. So yeah, I mean, I would expect us to lose, and I think it'll probably be a relatively comfortable scoreline in the end. But maybe it's a kind of run up the score a little bit late in the game to put a bit of a gloss on it, and maybe we're in it for an hour and then it runs away from us. So I think I'll go for a 3-1 defeat.
Okay, Glenn, do you want to pick a number out the sky?
Yeah, I'll go with 2-0 for Liverpool.
2-0.
I think I think we'll do okay, but I think we will cause them a few problems. But ultimately, I've got no faith that we will score a goal. I don't know if Alisson is likely to be back by then.
Yeah, I think so. Alisson's still like slightly a doubt, and it looks like Trent will be a doubt as well, based on him coming off yesterday.
Well, defensively, that's sort of like 1 plus and 1 minus, isn't it? Because I mean, Trent, you have always got a chance. I mean, that's the thing. You've always got a chance with him. But I mean, I see Kelleher as their kind of weak link. So can we get anything out of him in goal? He was in goal for the 4-4, wasn't he? And he was awful.
Yeah,
it was like it's like a hologram in goal. I know it's a couple of years ago, but
he's been very good for them in the last couple of seasons. They regard him fairly highly, but they still went and signed that Mama Bichelli, whatever his name is, the Valencian goalkeeper, didn't they? So they can't
Jordan fella,
yeah.
Liverpool probably sell Kelleher for 30 million. That's the kind of thing they normally do, isn't it? But
But
no, I mean, I think we should be able to cause them a few problems, but there's a world of difference between causing a team a few problems and actually testing out the goalkeeper, which is what we've found all season. 11 games, and we haven't really done it, and I don't see this 12th one being any different. So yeah, 2-0 Liverpool.
And I guess you're not going to say any different, Alfie?
No, I was going to go for 2 Liverpool, but just for the difference, I'll go for 3-0 Liverpool. But I echo the same thoughts as them. I just think it'll be a game for up to a point, and then, as Steve says, eventually the quality will show.